Here.
Walter Crucell,
Here.
Gina Sakala,
Here.
Cindy Mangini, Marie Peisner. I think I saw you, Marie.
Here. I'm here. I was
Okay.
muted. Sorry.
That's okay. Scott Ryder,
Here.
Tim Neville,
Here.
Doug McSellen. I don't see him yet. Tina LeBlanc,
Here.
Wendy Costa,
She's no longer. She resigned.
Wendy
She's gone
Costa.
already? She resigned from Board of Ed, so she's no longer on the committee.
Okay. Charlotte Riley, you said is not coming tonight.
No?
Bethany Olette,
Here.
Melissa Everett,
Here.
Jaime Cisneros, Jeff Leonowitz,
Here.
and Chris, I got your message. Jeff, I got your message about Chris coming late. And did I see Tom? I see Tom is on as well.
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Approval of minutes from October 8th.
So moved.
Take
Second.
motion. So moved by Tim, second by Walter. All in favor, raise their hands.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, all in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. Old business, the Henry Barnard partial roof replacement. I don't see Chris Cycli, so I don't know if items A, B, or B.
Donna, he's coming on a little bit later.
Okay, so we're gonna skip those and we'll go to C. I see Tom is here and I think Jeff is here, so maybe they have an update on phase 3.
Jeff, do you want to go? Or I know, I think I don't know where we are on the chimney repointing. I think that has started and it probably is just about complete. I know we were tentatively scheduling a punch list for next week.
Tom's correct. I spoke with JHS last week. They've been coming in with their mason. They wanted to continue just working through the week to get the pointing done. Being that it was all on the roof and not interfering with the kids inside the building, I didn't think that was a big issue, so they can keep on schedule. If they were forced to move to a Wednesday only, this would drag the process well into December. So the repointing is a little bit more involved. I believe there's a punch list review coming up very shortly, as Tom was mentioning. And again, I spoke with the contractor, I believe it was Thursday or Friday last week.
Now, does the manufacturer do an inspection on the roof?
Yes, he'll be part of that punch list, where I believe our manufacturer's rep is Greg from SR Products. So he's the one that will sign off on it and give us the warranty on the roof at the end. So he'll be involved in that punch list, and he's the one that okays his product, and then we'll be kind of relying on Tom, myself, and Chris to ensure all the masonry work is where it's supposed to be.
Okay, and everybody's been happy with all the contractors?
I haven't heard anything bad. They've been great to work with. They're very quick. They've been responding to any problems that we've had, and knock on wood, everything's been smooth sailing.
And we had all that rain last weekend and everything was fine.
And that was for their request to kind of keep pushing along on the roof, because that rain kind of set them back a little bit. And it seems we went all summer without it, and then go figure, we do a roof and that's when we get it.
Well.
Yeah. Murphy's Law.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Any questions from the committee on phase 3? Okay, E, energy performance contract. Any new information?
Yes, we received our quarterly review last week. I've reviewed their concerns and comments. It's the usual things where we're running out of parameter. Again, that kind of directly relates to some of the programming changes in our hours of operation, like the library and whatnot, with their longer Saturday hours and whatnot. So that kind of, we're addressing that in other means right now. I think last week I gave the update with Greg Simmons going to bond counsel about the whole leasing arrangement and all that other stuff with the M&V that we're looking to get out of. Other than that, I am meeting with Honeywell. I want to say it's the 30th of this month to discuss some energy options at, the annex to see what they can do. So I'll be speaking with them a little bit more in detail and one of their energy engineers, to see what's going on. And then from there, they're probably going to be looking to do a site tour. I'll get that on the road. And then from that point, if the committee would like to see, or we don't see each other as we used to in person, but, have them on one of the meetings and give a presentation and kind of throw their pitch your direction. If you're interested in hearing them, I'll work with the chairs and we'll get them on the docket.
Okay. And Jeff, everything is all done on the pool, and I know it's but when the pool was upgraded at the annex, we did energy saving things there, correct?
Yeah, so we installed a VFD on the pump. So it's going to maintain exactly its flow rate, and the pump will speed up, speed down based on what's going on as long as it hits our design parameters. So we did put that into energy savings. We're saving money because I want to say our pump, doesn't run full throttle, if you will. So it's like a 15 horse pump. It's only running maybe about 70%. So we're getting savings on that. What's nice about those VFDs, it's also slow ramp up. So we're not getting that big draw that goes against our peaks, depending on what time of the year. We're getting charged with the utility companies and stuff like that. So that's definitely beneficial. We've also, by replacing the piping, we're not leaking water. So we've reduced our water consumption on the pool itself. So that's always a nice factor. And then we've installed a way more efficient and automated heating system. So, we're as good as we can for heating a gigantic bowl of water.
And did we do LED lighting in the
Yes,
pool
we
area?
did. So we had some extra money that was not part of that project that we're able to free up. We needed to relamp it. Those were old T12s. So that's a nice little success story. So out of our operational budget last year, we had a couple extra do-re-mis. And to be honest with you, the cost to reballast and relamp for T8s, it was the same for getting new LED fixtures. So we've installed brand new LED lighting fixtures, and I'm looking into exploring some other rehab options in there with dehumidification. There's some capital money that's still available from past projects that we've used for some repairs to try to do something with our exhaust fans and maybe trying to automate that somewhat. So we're not just, right now, the way we dehumidify just sucks all the air out all the time. And then we're always conditioning it. Right now it's heating only, but there's probably a better way to skin a cat on that one and save some operational dollars there too. Plus the equipment needs to be changed regardless.
Okay. That's something that, a lot of people don't realize is that the leisure committee and the facilities were instrumental in, listening to our staff and supporting our staff to get this done. And after going and visiting, the JFK and seeing the old pool filled in, it would be kind of nice if we did something where we showed, what was the, lack of a better word, the bargaining chip to do this was the $250,000 that was invested in the annex pool and some of the good things that have come out of that. Because I think we, again, never shine our own apple enough so that people realize that we are doing good things. So I'll take any thoughts on that if anybody has any.
I do have a quick comment to what you just said. I do have some pictures if the committee is interested to kind of see some before and afters. We're actually kind of planning. I was so proud of our staff and getting that done that it happened, unfortunately, right as the COVID experience kicked off. We were trying to do a big grand opening and make like a fun thing for, raising awareness of like this really cool asset, really awesome asset that we have in our town. I'd be happy to share those pictures with the committee. And, at some point, I'd love to get you all in there to take a look. If you get a chance to swing by, we repainted, we redid the whole stands. We took them all off. We planed the woods. We refinished. I mean, the place is gorgeous. It's just unfortunate, the timing wasn't really great for that project, but I have the pictures that it looks completely different. It's unbelievable with the new paint, fresh paint, new lights, clean the pool. It's amazing.
Great. Maybe we can share it eventually on our communications, Scott.
Absolutely. I can get that to you.
Great.
Hey,
Thank you.
Donna,
Yep. Tim?
can we possibly, we've done that stuff at our meetings, we put them online. If we could have the presentation there as well and get the before and afters and get it out there. We do it every couple of weeks. It'd be great to put them on the agenda and just shoot it out there.
Yeah, I can add that to the agenda.
Sure.
Because it's the thing is we work so hard and then we get to a point we do something and we've got to tell everybody we did it. And I
Yeah.
think that we start telling everybody we did it. And
I think with people being home, I think you're going to have a bigger audience just watching it too.
correct. So I can put that on the next agenda.
Great.
Okay. All right. Next thing. Okay. Clean energy, Green Bank and the road to solar. Melissa, you weren't here last meeting, so I put this back on again because you wrote a really nice letter to the council telling them some of the things that Green Bank has done for us and trying to give them some encouragement as to, this is not a new product. This is
Right.
something.
This is a
So-
commodity. This is an established financing mechanism, et cetera. And I'm sorry, my mother is really declining, and I'm just a little flaky around being able to do meetings. I'm sorry.
That's
but,
okay. That's okay. I'm
but
sorry.
anyway,
sorry to
you
hear
got the
that.
letter. Do you have a sense of next steps?
What was that, Melissa?
Oh, do you have a sense of what next steps are? Were you able to read it? to council?
I think it would be nice for this committee to ask Green Bank to look at least the Henry Barnard School and to maybe look at some of the places where we could have ground mount.
Does anybody have like major reservations about having our sites assessed? It's no obligation.
Right. I think we need to start assessing.
I thought we were going to
open
do
a-
that.
Open discussion, Tim, go ahead.
I thought we were going to do that. I thought that one of our meetings, we talked about having, because there is no cost at all, I don't believe, right?
Right, no cost, no obligation. What happened then was Kasha took an interest and wanted to bring them to the council, and that happened. And then there was, I think, a little confusion on the part of the council. But I think it's within staff's latitude to just like have an assessment at the direction of this committee, or?
I think
Why
I can
not?
ask that question and find out.
Great.
I mean, and I would advocate for the widest range of buildings possible, like anything that we think could be, anything we're going to be upgrading a roof, even if it isn't possible now. It doesn't make sense to me to nickel and dime and have them come do 2 buildings here and 3 buildings there. It makes sense to just do a comprehensive assessment.
So I would think that with 3 sites, I think might warrant looking at.
Yep. Did anybody have thoughts about other sites? Careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Any thoughts from the committee on what other sites might be candidates for solar?
What are the 3 you're talking about, Melissa?
Donna had
Besides-
3.
I just saying 3, and I agree with Melissa that one site's not enough. I think the Henry Barnard has to be assessed because that's a school where probably 70% of the roof is brand new. So 70% would be, usable for, solar locations. And, we're looking at the Jablonski and we're looking at, putting, canopies and covered canopies. So right now, the Jablonski building, I think the roof was done on that in the 90s, I want to say, Jeff. Am I close?
1998.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's really sad to know those
Jeff, can you
things.
you're the roofs wizard. I mean, can you make a list of all the roofs that could potentially sustain solar or that will be repaired and then could?
I can I can give you a list, no problem. I just want
And
to
I'd
see.
even be willing to entertain ground mounted down at the water pollution control.
Yeah, I mean, assessment is no obligation, and getting them up here to do one thing and showing the extent of the potential, I think, is what's going to get momentum going.
I mean,
I agree.
Water pollution control, I will honestly say would be a tough one just because the amount of, there's really not much ground out there.
Right.
I'm thinking of where the dog,
If we move the
Animal
dog pound
control.
up here, that's like 6 acres over there we could leverage for sure.
okay,
The
Yeah.
other place I would say right off the bat, if we're to look, it's a newer roof, would be the high school. Plus we have that hillside that really isn't, useful. So I'm not sure if they could set, structural.
excuse me, that's where we all slide, Jeff. Aren't you from Enfield?
No, I'm a transplant.
Oh,
So
you're a
this is
trans, okay.
Gina.
Jeff,
I
that's
just
where
have
we
one
all
comment.
slide.
Oh, sorry.
You wouldn't win that one.
Yeah,
Donna,
please, we were all on the high school building committee. We know how important that hill is. We're not gonna talk about that hill.
All right,
I have one comment. This is Gina.
Sure, go ahead.
Gina.
I don't have a problem with having an assessment done. I don't have a problem with them looking at buildings, but I don't want people to think it's a no cost because we are using staff time and resources to do this. So I want to make sure any building that we have them go look or any area that it's just a little bit viable. Let's not just do it willy-nilly to everything. Let's make sure we're doing it in a comprehensive way that makes sense for some of these buildings, so we're not wasting staff time.
Yeah,
That's why
absolutely.
we're gonna try to limit it to 3,
Hmm.
and we're all discussing it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the staff time is in making a list and a determination. And
Well, I guess
then it's the green bank's work. It doesn't, I mean, they'll just come and do it in a really turnkey way. So I think the most cost-effective way to use staff time is to do any site that meets a kind of basic viability threshold.
I mean,
Obviously omit ones that don't.
I mean, Melissa, if you have information on what they would want beforehand, because if it's one of those
Well-
things where it's the scale of the solar collectors should meet the
I
building
need a
load,
meeting.
I can tell you which ones are more plausible than
Yeah.
others.
Okay,
So if you have
I'll
anything
fire
to
up
share-
an email to Emily at the Green Bank and just
Okay, I
ask
can
her
see
for
your
more
line.
granular detail about
All right,
what they need.
bye.
Because then I could give you a really concrete list of where, three sites, and I can share that with the committee, and like the top 5 or something like that out of what we have, that we could choose out of those 3.
Yeah.
Donna?
Tim?
Since we're looking down the agenda, looking at Whitney is doing the next roof there, it has to be done with a relatively new roof in order to do these things. You're not gonna do one that's 20 years old. Could we add that to list as well? Because, I think that's a good site for it. It's certainly wide open to the sun.
Well, actually, Whitney's been done before. So I would like to only look at sites that we actually could do, because it's gonna take 3 years to do Whitney.
Yeah, I forget that, sorry.
Yeah, so, but the thing is that, if the Henry Barnard is done
Yep,
and they look at that and they assess the Henry Barnard, you've got sister schools, which are Parkman and Whitney,
yeah,
that should have similar
profile,
possibilities.
yeah.
So, and that's the other thing, like Gina's saying, we want to be smart about what we do. So we want our staff to look at things that
How
or
possible.
assist in sending information on things that are similar in nature.
Yeah,
I
let me
mean,
reach out to Green Bank and just find out exactly what they need from our staff. And if,
Okay.
we can assess what timing it would take, because my sense is that it's, a very trivial amount of time needed from staff, and that's the value proposition.
Okay.
And then
Right,
can
so-
we bring back to the committee what, how many buildings to assess once we know what the investment is?
Okay.
Does that work for
sounds
you? Gina?
reasonable.
Yeah.
Then we have more information to make decisions. So
Yeah.
that'll be on the next agenda. Any more discussion on
No,
so?
I was just gonna say, if we're looking at new buildings, we should look at JFK and the high school. And the high school was already mentioned, but just
Okay.
those are the newest rooms.
Right. The problem is it has to be, you can look at the high school because it's gone through audit. Okay. But if you put money or anything into JFK when it's in the middle of renovation, that'll go against the current referendum. So there's these little nuances there that you have to
But Donna-
follow. Yep.
Oh, but Donna, we're talking now about money for next year. The Green Bank is already signing up towns for next year. So, I mean, we can schedule this stuff after.
For JFK, it'll be, because the high school was really quick going through
Mhm.
audit, and I think it took, 3 years? So
Think so.
it's a
I
2
mean,
to 3 year. And they won't be
They're
done at
scheduling-
JFK.
Yeah, they're scheduling now to assess for actual work well in the future that we can schedule with them.
Right.
But the data makes sense to get in one big cluster so we can really compare.
Okay,
and
I see what you're
contrast.
saying, Melissa.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any more discussion? All right, on to transfer station. Any new information?
Nope, not at this time. It's in progress with design, and when we see something, we'll relay to the committee where we are. It'll probably be a little bit of time, though.
And any thoughts the committee has had on it that they want to share with Jeff? Walter?
Yeah, just what I said to you guys yesterday. Hey, Jeff, we were talking about the 2 scales, and I noticed it after that we should possibly put in already bypass lanes. So in case one scale goes out, all it is a matter of moving some cones and have bypasses to the other scales. So it's just something to think about, that we should already have like an X bypass. So as you're coming up to the weigh-in scale, if that scale's closed, there'll be a little left cutoff to go up to the other scale, and then another right cutoff to go back down. Just a thought.
Yeah, I will jot these notes down and send them over to Donald and to the designer.
It's little cost now, but I think it's a lot of less headaches later, if just in case, the whole plan was to have 2 scales. So if one went down, we can bypass it, just by moving some cones or something,
Yeah, we're setting it up as an alternate deduct. I think it's a little bit of a cheaper approach than doing an alternative. So they'll have, that should be part of that. If there's not 2 scales, they would have to design for the 1 scale.
Exactly.
But I'll make sure that's the case, and I know Donald had a little bit more in-depth conversation with the engineering team that's working with that. So I'll pass all this along.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir.
Okay. Any more thoughts from the committee? All right, master plan. The master plan was presented to the council on the 19th. Everybody at least got to see it. I think, for me, I thought it was fairly well received. I think that, stressing the fact that, it's a concept and it has ideas that our staff already could, bring forward at budget time is, good to hear. So I'm going to open it up to the committee. Anybody's comments on the presentation to the council?
I watched it. I shared it on the Joint Facilities Committee Facebook page. I think that BL did a good job explaining what we've tasked them with. And I don't know if, I appreciate that you said it was well received, because I couldn't tell, how it was received, but I think that the presentation made sense and it shows the work that we put into this for a year and a half.
And also I felt it showed the flexibility that we've all had to have and that we do have in the future to accommodate things that have come in that have changed, like, the Enfield Express and the idea of the Higgins Park and the fact that, there is work on being done, in other departments and other ways to moving staff out of buildings that we have, earmarked that are potential sale buildings. And also buildings that we've acquired since this facility, the joint facility was formed, they have the potential to probably move forward with what they want to do. Any more comments from the committee?
Hey, Donna,
Yep.
was your sense that they understood that this was a set of concepts that were put out and not a fait accompli? Because I know that was our intent, to
Yes.
look at it through a concept level.
Yes,
Okay.
and I think that they, going through the COVID and stuff like that, there's been a lot of discussion as to the fact that, we're 24/7. We function 24/7. The DPW functions in every emergency 24/7.
Right.
And the fact that there's, an understanding that we do that, and that, as we move forward, we should make that a more permanent fixture to that building. And I think the EMS concept of bringing our EMS out to the middle of the town, and perhaps where they are is a satellite, because that's a very landlocked facility, that I think was very well received. So I think that, this is, and like I said at the meeting, this has been something that other town managers have been working on. That's why they've been buying up all the land around the Jablonski, and, to, have in there that your first year, you're going to go now and combine all this land. That, it's sort of like, it's helpful to have professionals look at what you do and give credence to a plan that everybody is moving forward on. So I don't know. For me, I thought it was a good presentation. It was fairly well received.
Good, thank you.
Okay. And Scott, you've been talking about the communications, and I think, if you want to add something before we go to new business. Okay. New
No,
business.
nope.
Okay.
To your question the other day, yes, we've been posting minutes, we've been posting meetings upcoming, and we posted this week's town hall meeting with the council so they could see the presentation we're talking about.
Okay, so I just see that Chris is on, so I'd like to go back and get an update on A and B, and if he has anything to add to C, and then we'll go on to new business in the agenda. So, Chris, updates on the phases?
Yeah, so nothing on phase one. I did have a conversation with Michelle last week on phase two, trying to get that advanced. But I haven't seen anything else yet. So,
Okay.
yeah. And then I'm not sure what was already said about phase three.
Okay. Phase more would be more, basically you're our finance guy, and and Tom and Jeff have attested to the work that's been done. So I think we're all set
Gotcha.
on that.
Okay.
Okay. So, and this is, and I'm new business, the roof plan for summer of 2021. If we do not plan now, we will not be ready. Right, Chris? He's ignoring me. Okay.
No, I'm here.
So
Say that again. If you do what?
if we don't start planning now, we're not going to be ready for summer of 2021 for the Eli Whitney and the Hazardville Memorial roofs.
Correct.
No, right.
You need to, yeah, you really need to have an idea of funding by the end of the year so that there's time to allow for the design. We've got to get into the state for their approvals. Ideally, I think, we would all like to get away from relying on the state contract and be able to put these projects out to bid. Maybe not. If we put them out to bid, then yes, that process needs to start now. If we go state contract, we can go along the same schedule that we have for the last 2 years, but that's not ideal.
have a
I
question
tried
for
last year to move it up and I wasn't successful, but I'm gonna try it again. So I'm gonna
Good.
ask Jeff and to work with Chris and work with, with everybody so that we can get it out to bid for the design. And I think it's gonna have to be phased and it would have to be, a section of roof that would be under the referendum limit.
I had a quick question for Chris on this one, in regards to going to the street. If we were to say, no, our budget is pre-referendum, would the state allow us to award the multiple phases in one RFP, or will we have to reissue every year?
Reissue.
You would have to commit to the full amount and then phase it. So you would have to commit to the full, let's just say it's $1.5 million. The council resolution would be to commit to the $1.5 million for all 3 phases, but then
You're not gonna do it.
you would
I
phase it summer after summer, and that wouldn't make any sense. And I don't know that anyone would really. I think the bid pricing would be all over the map with that, because you're having guys, companies would be holding their numbers for 3 years. I don't think that would work. Yeah, no, because you'd have to commit to the full dollar amount, but then you're only cash flowing a certain amount, and I don't think council can commit to a dollar value above the threshold limit. So, right. So,
Yeah, I was thinking more
work.
like the engineering, architect, and the owner's rep, because I believe you need to have both them on part of the for the grant reimbursement, correct?
Yes, you need those. Yes, you can do the architecture and you can't really do the grant applications, but you can do the design and everything else prior to. But you can't submit a grant application without having the funding committed. So sure,
I'm
Tom,
ready to-
right? Someone could design the roof for the entire building and then break it up into sections. And as long as it's already predetermined, then we say, all right, this grant application is for section A, and then the second application would be for section B. But then that grant application doesn't get submitted until the council commits to whatever that dollar value is for section B, and then so on and so forth. If there was a C, a D, whatever, what have you.
Exactly. I mean, I have RFPs that I'm ready to send over to finance to get this to the street for design and owner's representation. And as I'm making the bidding sheet, I'm kind of thinking, if we're going to go pre-referendum limit, if I can get 2 consulting firms on, one for owner's rep, one for architectural engineering, knowing that, hey, this is going to be a 3-phase, 3-year project, it might get us a better price because it's like more work. But if the state wants it all every year, I wouldn't want to, waste their time in pricing if I'd have to, if the committee would have to go out, 2 additional times on top of that. I know the construction, you can't really guarantee for that period of time, but for like the architecture, I hope the building doesn't, morph, overnight, because that'd be really hard.
Right. No, I mean, if that's something you're considering, Jeff, I can put a call into school construction and ask if you were to issue an RFP for the entire building, how we would have to either structure the fee proposal sheet, or what language we'd have to put in there just to make sure that the full cost was fully reimbursed. Because if I would just have to double check that. That's all.
Yeah, that'd be great if you wouldn't mind. And I'm sorry to take up this back and
Yep.
forth on the committee's time, but it's just helpful for me. So, because I know our process to get out to the street, is 3 to 4 months by the time you go through finance, risk management, and legal review.
Right.
Okay, right, because what we were doing also is, I think we were soliciting bids from 3 vendors, for lack of a term, consultants. And then we didn't have to put everything out to the street because it was under a threshold that we did not have to do a full RFQ. We were able to just get bids from consultants. So I could be wrong on that, but that's what I recall. That was the other reason if it's in 3 phases, but hopefully it wouldn't have to be 4. Now, the Eli Whitney is smaller than the Henry Barnard. Is there any thoughts that it could be done in 2 phases?
It could be close. I mean, building
Yeah,
market
I don't.
gone down quite a bit. I mean, I didn't mean to step on Chris, but you know, JFK's kind of showed the construction prices have dropped a little bit. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it could be a really
Yep.
good year this
They
summer.
bid
coming
it.
up.
They bid it in March. They bid it in March, and that's
Yeah,
why-
JFK was just an anomaly that really
Yeah.
just bid at the exact right time. Prices
Yeah.
are creeping back up from what we hear. They are still lower, but they are creeping back up. So, but I don't know enough about Whitney to talk about, you know, where that may or may not come in. I really don't know anything about that one. So, you know, we just have to take a look at it. I'm sure Jeff has you know, some information on that. I know he's had some conversations with his roofing consultant that's done a review, I think, of all of the buildings. So I'm sure we could come up with something, but yeah, I have no idea.
And also the grand list is growing, so, you know, there is the other side that you would have more money to spend. I mean, there's a lot of construction going on, building permits are up. Sales of houses, prices have risen. So, I mean, I hate to really be an optimistic, but I'm optimistic that the grand list for Enfield will be growing. And, you know, last time we were only like $47,000 away from, you know, doing it in two phases. So, you know, there is that possibility that we could get that, though. That I don't know about the Hasbro Memorial. I'm not as familiar with that school, and it's much more complicated than the Whitney one, but I don't know. I guess I have to be optimistic about things. So this committee is in favor of Jeff continuing on his way to get us our bids for design and owner rep for, again, a thumbs up from Marie for those 2
yes.
roofs. And I'm really, I know there may not be funding for both roofs, but I think we have to be proactive and show the council that this is what they need to be ready for.
Donna,
Tim?
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. And I don't want to go the way we've done it the last 2 years. But to move us along, could we get Chris and Jeff to get the answers to the questions they just discussed and kind of
Well,
put
that's
together?
what Jeff's gonna do. That's
Okay.
what,
But-
yeah,
but also-
that's what he does when we're not on Windstream.
But also put together a timeline for us of what we have to get all those dates that we have to get done in order to meet what you suggested.
Yeah, I think if we all go through our notes, Chris has given that to us a number of times, but one more time for us if possible would be great.
And put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Right. Put on the agenda. We're gonna get the timeline and we're gonna hopefully live by it this time.
It's a good idea.
Okay. Any more questions, concerns, anything on this? Jeff, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm actually talking to Chris right now through text message. We're going to hook up after the meeting and hammer some stuff out.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I don't wait around. We get moving.
Too much
Okay,
information.
well,
They're having a meeting during a meeting.
that's known as ex parte communications. Okay. Committee
Hey,
comments?
Enfield's a busy town. We're a hip moving community here.
We are a moving community. I mean, you know, you saw in the paper USA Hauling's coming to one of the Lego buildings.
Mhm.
They're consolidating their office in Enfield. I mean, that's, you know, And I saw that there is a gym going into the mall.
Yeah.
Don't know which one, but I saw it in the paper and I'm like, okay, that's happening. So, people are really working hard, every day, even when we're not on the air and we're not in meetings and we're not doing things. Everybody's working hard to get everything accomplished that that our town needs. And that's all I want to say. Get off my soapbox. Okay, committee comments. Walter?
Do we have any update? I know it may not fit this committee, but do we have any updates on the CROG study for Hazard Ave and for Elm Street?
I do not have any new information on that.
Okay.
I only have the old report.
All right.
So,
Just
yeah,
curious if we
we're
heard
not.
anything.
Yeah, we're not traffic controller roads, but
No, I know. That's why I said it may not be for this committee, but I just
But
was
I am
curious if I heard
District
it.
3, and all I have is the original one, and last time they talked about it, again, they said, well, gee, maybe we should go all the way up to, the Summers, because, 190 is really a busy road. I mean.
Yes, it is.
So.
All right, just a thought. That's all my
Okay.
comments.
All right, any other comments? All right.
Got one quick comment about looking into some of the fuel tank work. Part of that master plan, maybe going a little bit farther with a consolidated fuel depot.
Yep.
I think this committee, it'd probably, be a good thing to look into a little bit more in detail, especially with our EPD tank getting pulled this year. DPW is about 3 years out from its first tank going
Okay.
on its schedule. So I'd be happy to, with the committee's support, to explore that idea a little bit more and get a little bit more than conceptual to some preliminary design and cost detail.
Okay, I'm in favor of that. I like your explanation.
Yeah.
Should that fueling station go down, you would have gas cards, and there's gas throughout the town of Enfield that we could use. We don't have to be self-sufficient for every emergency.
What is that?
So,
It sounds like someone's car door.
so not my car door. I hope nobody's breaking in my car.
I don't know what it
Okay,
is.
so is everybody in favor of Jeff, going on to, and it's really kind of out of our privy, but I mean, at least we're a group of 12 that, he's vetted that the one fueling station is the way we'd like to go.
Oh, definitely. We gotta stay current with that. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the reason I bring this up is that the price tag on this, I mean, I don't want it, but it's going to be well over our referendum, depending on how, it's financed. So it's going to be one of those things that, could very, very likely be helpful to have, a committee supporting the development and the design, because these things aren't cheap. Just to kind of throw a number out there, when we were looking at the canopy at the PD for one tank, it was almost $400,000 to redo that particular site. And that was a single tank site. So, I mean, these things are not cheap.
Okay. I think it's worth exploring. Any other committee members? Show of hands if you think it's worth for Jeff to explore this so he can bring it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Looks like everyone's here is unanimous on that. So
Thank you.
do your thing, Jeff. All right.
I appreciate
Any
it.
more committee comments? Okay, next meeting will be the 12th, which is the second Thursday. So anybody who's in touch with the JFK, you tell them that they're the first and the third. If they want the 5th, they can have the 5th Thursday, but they can't have the 2nd or the 4th. Those are ours. Okay. Gina, you can relay that message for me, okay?
Isn't the fourth Thursday Thanksgiving
month,
anyway?
We all get all screwed up the next month. So
You make me relay all the hard stuff.
I
Okay.
know I do.
They like you better. I don't know why you do that.
No, they don't like me at all.
Join the club.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. Yeah, that's all right. It's a good club to be in. Okay, can I have a motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
Second.
Yep, my second, all in favor. Thank you, everyone. Have
Good
a
night.
nice
Thank you.
evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Take care,
Have a good
folks.
weekend.